Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. We got Ashley in here again.
Hey.
Was third time? Fourth time?
Third
time?
Yeah.
She's a recurring guest.
Yeah.
Having fun.
With MadVines, right?
MadVines Wine and Spirits. We're a distributor in Alabama and Mississippi, and we focus on small craft brands. And if you want them, you got to contact us to get them, because ABC does not list them in Sauna for all you beverage buyers. So you have to order from us, and their new system allows us to deliver to ABC warehouses, and you pick them up. So if you see anything you're interested in when I'm here, reach out. I think you're still posting my email, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For contact.
All your contact. They can send us a message, and we'll get you in touch with them for sure.
Yeah, and all these guys are on the way. I think they will be available as of next week. So,
Okay,
and we'll have them at Birmingham.
Very cool. And you brought us a special guest from Proof and Wood, Mr. David Schmier.
Good morning.
Morning. How you doing today?
Afternoon, depending on when you're
When
listening.
you're listening to it.
This is quite a collection you
is.
brought. So tell us a little background on yourself. I know you have been in the spirit industry for quite a while.
For a day or two, yeah. I'll give you the short story. I worked in bars and restaurants for a long time, and that led to creating a marketing agency doing marketing and promotions for big brands around the country, brands like Absolute, Anheuser-Busch, a lot of entertainment-based stuff. And successful at that for a bunch of years. And like any good actor, you think you know how to direct. And that led me to going, I'm going to create my own vodka brand. And learned the hard way what I didn't know about sales and distribution in the U.S., which is a challenge until you wind up partnering with people like MadVines who really have a passion for what they're doing. Along the way, make a lot of good friends in the business, doing stupid things like you are, and like me, not you. You guys are probably in a whole different area.
We're stupid things.
We,
too.
we definitely do stupid things.
I took that as a compliment.
I did too.
Oh, then we're all.
You've watched the show before then.
Like, this is a good idea. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I was doing that, and a good friend of mine had a little whiskey brand, and he had built a little facility in Bardstown, Kentucky, to do bottling for people. And I became his first guinea pig customer, and we're drinking a lot of whiskey while we're setting up this little bottling facility in Bardstown. Worked with a lot of great people who were helping us MacGyver this thing together. That's where we met Dave Pickrell, who was really helpful in putting that together. And my business partner at the time, Mike, and we should do something together. And again, the short story is we found some rye whiskey that became Redemption Rye. And that was about 2010. We thought it was a little side project, and it turned into a monster. And like anything in the whiskey business, the lesson learned was the more successful you are, the broker you become, because you're doing great, but you have to lay down more and more whiskey, and that whiskey is not free.
Yeah.
So we came to that fork in the road where what are we going to do? Are we going to just kind of stagnate, or are we going to let the brand grow? And we sold the brand in 2015. And clearly I wasn't done, so I started this new company, Proof and Wood. And I'd like to call Proof and Wood, we're an independent bottler. We don't distill, and that's part of the name. We have control over the proof and the age, how long it's been in the wood. Cool. So the core of what we do is American whiskey, but I also kind of branch out into some other whiskeys and other spirits when I find some interesting stuff.
Very good.
Awesome. Yeah. Quite a collection here.
Yeah, it is.
It'll all make sense.
How about I go ahead and pour the first one, because
Yeah.
we got quite a few. So I'll pour while y'all talk.
So which one we have first?
So the first three we have here, or the collection I kind of refer to as our American table whiskeys. Good whiskeys you can drink all the time, every day. Not every day, but you know what I'm saying.
Every day.
Every day. They're good cocktail whiskeys, but they're also really approachable on their own. So this first one here is Deadwood Bourbon.
Really good smell to it.
It's a classic bourbon mash bill, 75% corn. It's got 21% rye, some great flavor out of that. A little bit of barley. The Deadwood's a straight bourbon whiskey. It's a minimum of 2 years old, and we bottle it at a real approachable 81 proof. So cheers.
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 Oh. Did I forget before the cheers?
Yeah, I did too.
Oops.
I did too.
And a really good flavor to it.
It does.
Yeah, it's good whiskey, nothing more, nothing less. That was the goal there.
Very approachable.
That's
Yeah.
a perfect one to ease us into
Yes.
all this.
Breakfast bourbon.
By
Exactly.
the way, do you guys have some cups we could grab for tasting
I
and
got you.
spitting?
Yeah. Got some.
But anybody, I would like one because this is a lot.
It is.
I'd like to sit through each one, but I want to make sure I can drive us back to Birmingham.
So where'd the name Deadwood come from?
Where'd that come from? I had the idea of having aces and eights on the front of the label, the dead man's hand. And, most people know the basic story there. Wild Bill Hickok is playing poker in a saloon, and he's shot dead. And the cards he's showing are aces over eights.
Cool.
And forever known as the dead man's hand.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then I realized that that occurred in a saloon in Deadwood, and it just seemed like a solid name.
It is. I like it.
Apparently, there was a TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that, but
There was. That's a cool name, and I like the story behind it too.
and while it wasn't planned, that became our kind of gambling theme.
That's cool. I can see
That's
that
good.
now.
Yeah, it works.
It is.
Yeah.
Right.
I make poor gambling decisions, so I got to sell more and more whiskey. It's kind of how that works.
It kind of goes hand in hand, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's really good. You can,
Yeah.
even though it's lower proof, it's still a good sipper.
Yeah, there's a ton of flavor in there.
What's the price point on roughly?
I'm gonna.
So,
Or not?
I'm gonna.
So
I'm gonna
these-
defer to Ashley because Alabama is a funny state.
Yes, it is.
So ABC is not gonna probably carry these. Is
Yet.
the
Yeah,
thing?
it's
Yeah,
through-
yeah.
yeah.
They may eventually. That's tricky with the way the state has, especially moved toward permitting less and less and less small craft brands in the ABC stores. And so your individual retailer, like we talk about, has to buy from the state at retail price. They get a tiny discount, but it's annihilated by taxes. So these, I'll tell you, the Deadwood, Tumblin' Dice, Roulette Rye, and then the one we'll try all the way at the end, the Funk. They're going to range, we'd say, private retailer, let's see, maybe 45 or 50 to, I'm trying to do the math in my head. So
Maybe less.
maybe to, we'll say 40 to 60, I guess you could
Okay.
say that range, something like that, depend between the four.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then these guys will be further up there.
Yep.
So
So the good news, especially if anybody from the state is listening, the program, and I don't know the name off the top of my head, they put in last year or two for distributors of smaller brands to sell directly to on-premise bars and restaurants has been really helpful.
Absolutely.
To get smaller products
Yes.
into bars and restaurants without an even higher price.
For sure.
yeah, so that has been helpful. We don't have to pass it through the main warehouse in Montgomery anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas previously you had to convince the state to get on board and order whatever quantity.
I just poured out the new whiskey, but that's the
You could
best.
just pour it back in there. It's your first one, right?
True. That's the best way to clean a glass
Yep.
with more whiskey.
There you go.
True. So that the CGPO program is what it's called. That's the lingo, customer generated purchase order. So for all the stuff that's going to move at the volume that they say is not big enough, or for them wanting to stock it essentially in their warehouses and give it space and commit to buying a certain big quantity. This does allow the freedom for individual retailers, bars, restaurants to say, hey, I really want that, and contact us and order a case of it. So that it is very helpful because before, I mean,
you couldn't do it.
You know, so.
And we've been going through it with the Cava de Oro tequila, trying to get it, like I was telling you about it, through, I think it's Stellar Imports, maybe. I think that's what it is. I have to look up. But, like, they finally got it through, like, after a couple months of battling because they've never done that before, so they weren't familiar with it.
That's
and they're trying to figure it
another
out.
part that's very difficult for brands is, each controlled state. I think there's 17, something like that.
Too many.
Yeah,
for sure.
Each one has some different regulations, and so I know that, the suppliers is trying to figure out, okay, I want to get into Alabama. Well, how does it work?
Yeah.
Well, hell, we barely know how it works. Like, we're all trying to figure it out every day. And ABC's trying to figure it out every day.
That's true.
So it can be complicated.
So
Tell us about the tumbling dice.
So tumbling dice, actually my favorite mash bill. As you can see on the bottle with the mash bill, it's our heavy rye mash bill.
Okay.
60% corn, 36% rye, 4% barley. So you get a ton of rye flavor, kind of cutting through the sweetness of the corn. And you'll find, depending on where it hits on your tongue, you're going to get the sweet emphasizing the spicy, and kind of the reverse of that.
Yep.
It's just, and we bottle this one at 100 proof.
It's really good.
it is really good.
Yeah.
And one of the
You got
things,
the sweetness, but the spice is nice.
we do a lot of single barrels of this too. Some older. You guys know how old this one is, right?
It's 4.
Yeah. So the dice will tell you how old it is.
Ah.
I
Yeah,
think
so
that. Okay.
exactly, I thought it was blatantly obvious, and
I thought Matt just guessed out of the blue.
well, he's good. He's good. I thought it was blatantly obvious, and then I meet people who have a collection of different years of tumbling dice, and it's a surprise to them. Like, oh yeah, okay, now I get
That's
it.
a fun little surprise.
That
though.
is
That's
cool.
one of those
I love
things
that.
you could be looking at the bottle 10 years after you had it and hanging out with friends and then be like, oh.
There you go.
It is a fun little surprise, but I didn't realize it was a surprise.
I like doing stuff like that in our menus at my restaurant, like little Easter eggs that nobody really knows about but me.
Easter eggs, yeah, that's what they call them. Yeah, this would be fantastic in a Manhattan, and the price point, this would be great in a bar for mixing with Manhattan.
I think it's good by itself.
Oh, yeah,
is
well,
good.
of course, I love a Manhattan, so I'm always like, how would this rye or this high rye bourbon or rye be in a Manhattan? I gotta have some high rye bourbon if I do a bourbon in my Manhattan. It's gotta have some spice.
That's really
Agree.
good.
Well, that's how I found out about rye, was drinking Manhattans, and the first time I had a rye Manhattan instead of a bourbon Manhattan, I'm like, aha, there's something more here.
Definitely. And you see rye a lot more in mixed drinks now, which is great, I think.
Yeah,
In cocktails.
When I first started with rye whiskey, I think in the U.S. it was like under 50,000 cases, and now it's well over 1 million. It's not that long ago. I'm old, but not that.
I still don't think there needs to be more rye drinkers.
Yeah.
More. I'm like, come on, y'all.
On that note, we've got a great beginner rye.
I like when people say they don't like rye, then they mention some kind of whiskey, and you're like, that's a rye. They're like, no, it's not.
Well, I think
it
the great thing is the variety of rye that we have now. Even 15 years ago, it was really all the same mash bill, the same approach. Very corn heavy rye whiskey, barley rye, and then we started using, as well as others, the 95% rye, 5% barley from the old Seagram's distillery, now known as MGP, and the rye in general has a different characteristic than that. This has a more floral characteristic, a sweeter characteristic. So some people who don't like the other kind of rye like this. And now we've got so much innovation coming from small distilleries using different kinds of stills, like the Leopold brothers out in Colorado with their 3-chamber still. And gives a whole different character to it based on how they they age it as well, lower entry point. But back to our roulette. So roulette is also minimum of 4 years old, 95% rye, 5% barley, bottled at 100 proof. So it's a solid, bold rye whiskey.
Yeah.
Again, mint is a cocktail whiskey, but really easy to enjoy. Sip it with a cigar.
It's also really good. It's not just because you're sitting here either. Like,
I appreciate
Right. It really is. Yeah.
I like how you're like, it's also really good. It's just a very simple
As we
statement,
talked
but-
about earlier, when I sat down and saw the Boozy Spirits
Yeah.
rating scale, I was like, oh man. As long as I'm not absolute pure shit, I'm
I know,
I'm good.
right?
I'm good.
Last time when I came in and they had done this, I was like, oh, how am I supposed to respond if y'all end up rating something I brought as pure shit?
we tried to do it from like 1 to 5 when we started, but we're not sophisticated enough.
No, we're not.
We just did thumbs up.
That's as far as we could count too. So.
Y'all just make sure you whisper it behind our backs if
Yeah.
it's pure shit.
I won't name names. I guess I'm not giving them free publicity. But the vodka brand I talked about, it was reviewed by a well-known spirits reviewer. And the last sentence of that review will be forever stuck in my head. And that was, don't even bother with this slobbering bow wow.
That had to hurt,
You know,
especially when you pour your life into something.
it keeps me moving forward.
Exactly. That's what you got to use it as motivation for sure.
Motivating.
But the idea,
And I think you overcame that.
I tried.
Yes.
But the idea behind Proof and Wood is good whiskey in a bottle at a fair price, and that's what I try to achieve, whether it's an inexpensive bottle or our most expensive bottle.
How many states are you in now?
I'm just right here in Alabama right now.
Not mentally.
I'll be here all day. We're in about 25 to 30 states.
Okay.
And depending on the state, how and our distribution partners, how active we are there.
Very nice.
I'm holding off on my reviews till later. I don't want to shoot my shot too early.
Yeah.
I only got 2 thumbs, so
Okay.
Hey, so far I'm very impressed.
yeah, it's
This
really
is
good.
This is great. This roulette rye is amazing.
It's also a good sipper.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm more of a just straight sipper kind of guy, room temperature. Not big into cocktails.
I'll go that way or a Manhattan.
I don't like Manhattans. I've tried them. Maybe I had the wrong one.
It's all about the vermouth. Well, the whiskey too, of course.
Yeah.
But the vermouth is, people like to dismiss the importance of the vermouth.
Maybe that's why I don't like
That's
it.
your
I don't know.
mistake.
I'll have to research that.
And the balance between the vermouth and the
Yeah.
whiskey.
For sure. Yeah.
So were you a bartender at one point?
Not a very good bartender.
Okay.
I don't think any bar that I bartended at had actual glassware. Plastic cups, that kind
Right,
of thing.
yeah.
People are like, "Do you have bitters?" And you're like, "What the hell
But-
is that?"
I spent enough time doing research on the other side.
Exactly.
And I think in when it comes back to the Manhattan, I had the good fortune to attend Gaz Reagan's Cocktails in the Country. Gaz, if you know him, was a great cocktail writer / historian / raconteur. And it was a really, really cool little weekend, and great bartenders were there, and somehow I snuck in. But 2 things. One, that's where I was introduced to rye whiskey, and where I kind of understood, or began to understand, I'm still working on it, is balance when we're talking about a cocktail or blending spirits. And so it was rye whiskey. And then discussion about, if you want to achieve kind of a perfect Manhattan in terms of the flavor that you like, if you're using a higher proof whiskey, to keep it simple, higher proof, spicier whiskey, you might want to use more vermouth. And if you're using a softer whiskey like a Deadwood, you're going to use less vermouth in order to achieve kind of that balance you're looking for. Now, your personal taste might run sweeter or spicier, and you balance it like that. Just starting to think about it. And it's such a simple, great cocktail that you can really kind of see what's going on like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, Manhattans, martinis, the daiquiri. Those are 3 big cocktails that amazing, legendary cocktail bars will kind of judge their that's how you can judge an amazing bartender by.
Yeah,
It's
for
like,
sure.
okay, how can you take this whiskey or this gin, make these cocktails, these simple 2-3 ingredient cocktails, and make it balanced.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and it just instead of just following the recipe, even a simple recipe, you think you can't screw it up. But, yo, you can.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, what kind of vermouth are you using?
I have no idea. I've just had it at different bars or restaurants. I don't really know.
Oh, okay. So you're not making it at home.
No.
Okay.
I hadn't ventured that far.
Oh man, come on now. It's bitters, vermouth, and whiskey.
I need to.
That's it. You can do it.
I know I can.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Well,
I'm not the
I
only
got an
word.
idea for another show.
There you go. I'm not a traditionalist like cocktail maker, because we have a Mexican restaurant, tequila bar. So I just sit at home and come up with random shit and like, I'm gonna try this one, and then like every once in a while I get a hit.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with this? I'm like, I don't know, just made up stuff.
Like the Pretty Little Liar.
Yeah, just like that one.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Tell them about that real quick.
That was with the El Viaje Raicilla, strawberry and soda. Just real simple, but it's been a hit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it. I haven't had it yet. Russia, El Viaje Russia is a brand that
Agave Spirit.
Yeah, Are you familiar with Russia? Okay. Yeah, so they're Andrew Bernauer. He founded it. He lives in Birmingham, and he launched it 2
years ago, I believe.
3?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. We'll have to taste you on that. We have some back at the warehouse. But it's a beautiful spirit. That sounds like a delicious cocktail.
It's just something simple. Like I was like, listen, I have this at home. I made like 10 different varieties. I'm like, okay, this one tastes good.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to get us off,
Oh, no,
off
it's fine,
track on agave spirits. We'll get to
We'll
our
get to 'em,
agave
yeah. There you
spirits. Yeah. I'll pull this one forward if you want to talk about the representative. I'll pour while you talk.
There you go.
Sounds good. So the representative is currently the star of the DC collection.
Okay.
The DC collection surprisingly began in DC, Washington D.C., and it's a great little story, and it's what I love so much about this business is good friends that you make and collaborating with them. And my distributor in Washington D.C., I've known them for about 15 years. And a bunch of years ago, came to me and said, "Hey, I grew up in D.C. I still live here. No matter who wins the presidential election, the inauguration is always a great party. And so let's do something to celebrate that." And he asked me to find a 4-year-old barrel of whiskey and an 8-year-old barrel and call them 1 term and 2 terms, which we did. Originally it was tongue in cheek, like if you want a 1-term president, you had this one, and 2-term you get that. And I was like, no, we're just going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about the whiskey. And you see the labels are red, white, and blue. So the representative is always a white wax, and then we alternate between red and blue on the others. And if the wax is red, the writing's going to be blue. Cool. So they're all red, white, and blue. We're celebrating our democracy, our country. We're not talking politics. That's your other show, I think. So that was a presidential dram. When the first go around, we did it in D.C. only, and I think we did 7 or 8 barrels, and it sold out. It was a big hit. And the next go around, 4 years later, we did it nationwide, and really, people really got into it. And then somewhere in between, I had some 12-year-old bourbon, a very limited amount. We bottled that in the same collection, called that the Ambassador. And then we did the Justice, which was a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old Tennessee bourbon. And those did really well, too. People still collect them and whatnot. I might have a bottle or two. And then our everyday offerings in the D.C. collection are the representative and the senator. So maybe political, but what I like to say is the representative and the senator, they're always for sale. I'll be here all day.
I like it.
I love it.
So the representative is just a big, solid bourbon whiskey. That's what it was meant to be. And interestingly, and then going back to the roots of our name, Proof and Wood, that we take the whiskey, we don't distill it, but we have the ability to control the proof and the age. The representative is the same whiskey that we use for Deadwood. So the Deadwood is 2 years plus, 81 proof. This is 4 years plus and barrel proof. They generally come in around 115. This one's 114.86.
It's very, very good.
That's what I was going to ask you, if it was similar to the other collection.
In what respect?
Like you said, like it's barrel proof compared to proof down a little bit.
So
So that one comes from the deadwood.
everything in the DC collection is barrel proof. I
Yeah.
tend to like barrel proof myself.
Yeah, that's
and
my wheelhouse right there.
That's kind of where we go. You can always add water. It's a lot harder to take,
Yeah.
to take the water out after you've put it in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do there. Generally small batches. In the case of proof and wood, small batches about 20 barrels at a time.
Cool.
So this one, the representative, solid bourbon whiskey, that's what we thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And we entered it into the World Whiskey Awards last year. And we were pleasantly surprised to get the award of World's Best Bourbon by the World Whiskey Awards.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thanks. As I
Very
mentioned
cool.
before, most awards just make my head big. But this one caused people to take notice, and the brand is really taken off.
Awesome.
Even I know we have a ton of pre-orders here in Alabama and Mississippi, and we're making more. And this one, I actually know the price in the store.
Okay.
At the state store, it'll be $69.99.
It's really good. Yeah. It's a great price point.
Yeah,
too,
that's what
for
I was
that
fixing to
right
say,
there. For a barrel proof.
So will these be available in the state store?
Some states,
Some
stores,
states.
Some Brian
Yeah.
said. I think that they've decided to put some in some stores. I don't know all the details of that.
Yeah.
I think the rule is the more people buy, the more likely they'll.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, for sure. Yeah. So
That is,
And starting next week, possibly, on these?
they're supposed to arrive next week. Let's just say within the next couple
Okay.
weeks, because
Or months,
that's
maybe
also
see.
dependent on factors beyond our control,
Right.
ABC actions and
we know how it
budgets
is.
and all kinds of things that I don't know of.
Old Soul had a barrel pick that was coming out in December. It's still not out yet.
Yeah, well, there's so many. There's just so many factors, But
It's
there's
aging a little bit. Extra.
Yeah,
There you
a
go.
little extra in Montgomery warehouse. I said I'll hold my reviews, and then I'm making some notes, but very good.
Thank you.
And I've been known to email Brian Gilbo about stuff, so I might have to email and tell him he needs to be in more stores.
I agree.
Don't forget to mention how big fans of Brian we are.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We love you. You're the best. Just
I'll see
sign
it.
off every email that way. You're awesome.
We'll see him at Birmingham.
Your hair looks so good. Last time I saw you.
I've actually never met him in person, but he knows who I am, though. He's probably like, oh, shit, he's going to be at Birmingham.
Oh, hell.
I told him I was coming. He's probably like, damn it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Probably. I would imagine he's like, don't look. I don't want to look that dude in the eye. Oh, okay. Well, man, they just keep. I'm not going to look them in the eye. He's probably like avoiding a lot of people.
I did meet him last night at the Birmingham pre-event.
Okay, yeah.
And he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's been really good to me. He's just
and he
ABC.
seems genuinely like a whiskey guy.
I think he
as
is.
Really?
opposed to a lot of other states that will not be named, where some of them are just bureaucrats who
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
yeah.
And would rather sell more of a big brand than deal with my nonsense.
For sure.
So, speaking of my nonsense, the senator is the rye companion to the representative, where the representative is, 4 years old, 2 congressional terms. The senator is 6 years old, 1 senatorial term. It's the same rye whiskey, again, going back to that 95% rye, 5% barley, minimum of 6 years age, and also about 20 barrels at a time. And what I think, this is a classic MGP rye. I think the MGP rye really shines between 6 and 10 years old. You get a great, back to balance. You get a balance of the wood flavors and a balance of the rye flavors. Gets older, they're beautiful, they're elegant, but you're tasting more elegant wood flavor than you are tasting the rye spirit. And this one at the World Whiskey Awards was named Best American Rye in 2022.
Very cool.
So good.
That same price point, 69, a
No,
little different.
this one is $99.99
Okay.
if it's sold in the store.
I said I'm holding my reviews, but that one's fucking amazing.
And
Yeah, it is.
Shake and
Appreciate that.
That's my favorite.
That one's amazing.
Yeah.
Very good.
Super sweet, but you get that rye. That's great.
I'll find me a bottle of that next week. Ask Brian where they at.
Now, you can't hang out at their table at Birmingham the whole freaking time.
Certainly can.
I got 5 pours. I can get 5 pours of that.
So this batch came out at 116.78.
That's very good.
Yeah. It tastes a lot lower than that. I mean, it's
It's
so
very smooth.
smooth.
I would say one of my, I don't know, top 3, top 5 whiskey, rye, bourbons would be the Thomas H. Handy. That might compete with it.
I don't think I've had.
Again, it comes down to subjectivity, and to be in that same conversation is fascinating to me. It's the greatest compliment. My normal line, and I usually use this when we talk about the representative, because of the audacious nature of the best bourbon in the world, is all awards are bullshit.
Yeah.
Except when I win. We're going to talk about it all the time. Look,
Exactly.
these aren't my words, but
I just define the awards by that's a big one.
Yeah.
When I'm like explaining it to people.
Oh, yeah.
one of my favorite parts about the World Whiskey Awards, other than they keep giving me awards, is in fact last year we won not just the world's best bourbon, but we won the world's best single barrel bourbon for our Tumbling Dice barrel pick, and we also won that award in 2021. I don't know what happened with the judges in 2022, but check didn't clear. I don't know. But to me, more than touting the award is the consistency, and that's what we really strive for. That it's always going to be quality, and again, best in the world. Well, somebody had to win.
Yeah.
But to be even in that conversation is cool. But there's only one winner. There's not, some of these other awards. I get the email, oh, you've won a double gold. I'm like, that's awesome.
Right.
I go to the website, and like 50 people won double gold. So I'm like, okay, well, still cool,
But
but
not as
Yes.
but it feels like a participation trophy.
But these last two, I mean,
Yeah.
they're definitely worthy of.
Thank you.
They really are.
And like I said, not just because you're sitting here and
Yeah.
Ashley's here, but like that one competes with the Thomas H. Handy in my book.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite ones. So,
Cool.
and I know that's a highly sought after bottle. It goes for a lot on the secondary.
Yeah.
And
What's kind of fun in a way, we don't have a strong secondary following that I'm aware of. There's a couple of bottles out there, but that people can find these,
Yeah.
and they're fairly priced. We're not giving them away. They're not
Right.
cheap, but they're fairly priced, and that's kind of what the goal is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That at $99 is, yeah, a great deal.
It is.
I don't want to pour the rest of mine out.
If you do, pour it over here.
We'll make more.
Don't waste that one.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we got to get some of those for up here.
Oh, yeah.
We got to.
And Ashley, those come in 6-bottle cases, 3-bottle cases? 12?
Everything comes in 6.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So the cabinet.
So the cabinet's more of a limited time offering, and that one answers the question of, well, I like the rye and the bourbon. Can you put them in one bottle?
Uh-oh.
Also, the cabinet came to be from a retailer in D.C. that asked me to do a Boo Rye, which again, it's really cool. The retailers a retailer that I've worked with a lot over the years, really, really cool to work with them. And so, it's a Boo Rye, blend of bourbon and rye. It leans heavy towards rye. In this bottle, there are 5 to 9 year old whiskeys, and if you see on the back,
Want me to pour you some?
yeah. On the back is a listing of the different barrels we have. So there's 2014 to 2017 rye in there, and there's a 2016 99% corn bourbon, and then a 2017 75% corn. So it reads as a rye at first, and then you kind of get the undertones of the bourbon cutting through. It's really neat.
It's good.
I like all the information that you put on there because I think that's
It's cool.
important for people to know.
Yeah. That's always been the idea. Like
Yeah.
let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, we'll put the mash bill on the bottles, and you know, people who know what that means.
Yeah.
You know, go, oh, okay, I get this. And
Because
then-
you can look at the mash bill and say, I'm going to like this, even if you've never seen this before, if you like that mash bill.
or if you're at the point where you're understanding what that is.
Yeah.
It's real interesting when people look at it and go, what is this? What does this mean? And then you have a conversation.
For sure.
And you will, what kind of bourbon do you normally drink? Oh, you know, I like Bullet. Like, okay, well, you're going to like the high rye bourbon. And it kind of opens up a conversation in a very, you know, unimposing way. Like, oh, okay, cool. This is what I'm drinking, and this is why I like this. You know,
I like that.
Oh, I like Maker's Mark, and oh, I like Larceny too. And you know, it's just a great world, and I don't mind name checking some of the
Yeah.
you know, competitors. But
sure.
competitors probably help me do what I do too. So
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
one thing I didn't like with the Traveler whiskey, the new Chris Stapleton we reviewed. Like, we both loved it, but there's no transparency. They said, like, it came from multiple Buffalo Trace distilleries. They don't tell you what it is. They just say it's a blended whiskey.
it's a weird approach.
So nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
So-
It definitely makes it easier. So having, you know, worked at on
Yeah.
the retail side at Linnell's, that was definitely a thing that we were all about,
Yeah.
is being able to, so when someone comes in and they're, well, I want to try something new, or I'm looking for a gift for my dad. First thing I always train in our employees, like, ask questions before you give any recommendations. Ask questions. Well, what do you, or what does your father usually drink? Like, what are some of your favorite brands?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes they would say, well, I'm just getting into it. I've only tried this, and this. Okay. And so I'd say, okay, well, Maker's Mark, what was it too sweet? Are you craving something bolder or spicier than that? Or what, you like the sweetness? You want, like, and it definitely, like, that helps to sell it.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yep.
I think, and I'm not here to defend a giant corporation, but it is a blend, and you know, the scale that they work at. If that brand is successful, there's probably a good chance that the next blend is gonna have to be different. You know, they've got some of the best blenders in the world over there, and they'll make the product will taste the same. Might have different whiskeys
different
in it,
blend, yeah.
so maybe that drove their decision not to
Right.
not to tell us what's going on in the bottles.
What's the price point on the cabinet?
Again, price point could be tricky because I don't know exactly. It's
Yeah.
more expensive than the Senator.
Okay.
So
I don't
Really?
think this one, I don't think they had registered yet, if I'm not mistaken. They're
Yeah.
working on it.
We'll get you the
So it's coming.
information.
Yeah.
and,
Also
and
really good.
one of the fun things I
Yes.
like to do is putting what year we bottled them on.
Yeah, I saw
Which
that.
sure people keep track of them, but I like to think in the future people find them
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
and it becomes meaningful.
Yeah.
Yes.
All three of those are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to do a executive branch one?
Not sure what's coming next.
That's a definite maybe.
So right now the focus is on doing another run of Presidential Tram. So that'll come out later this year.
Okay. What's that entail?
Picking the barrels and bottling them. They're all single barrels.
Okay. Sounds interesting as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun things you could do with these labels,
There are.
especially over, you know, some coming things happening
Yeah.
soon politically.
Yeah.
I know you want to stay. It's like you want to stay out of it.
The representative and senator are always for sale.
I like that it's political, but it's not one side or the other. It's
Exactly.
just like, it's just
Yeah.
America political.
Well,
'cause-
I was envisioning, you know, like two people just like fighting on there.
That'd be a good one, too.
like-
Yeah.
but you don't know who they are. You don't know which side. Like they're
Just want to get along.
The beauty, you can have a Democrat and a Republican drink from the same bottle and enjoy it.
yeah.
We're trying.
As long as we don't talk politics.
we're trying. I did. I flew to Kentucky from D.C. last year and wound up sitting next to Mitch McConnell.
Did you?
Interesting
I
conversation.
bet.
The best part was when I handed him my card and he saw the logo for the Funk, and he, in his distinctive voice, it was like, "What's the Funk?"
I wish you could have sampled that so we could use it.
I would be selling that to every
Yes.
DJ around the world, but didn't happen. Let's grab the two.
Yeah.
So you live in D.C. or you live in Kentucky?
I actually live when I'm home up in Connecticut. All my barrels live in Kentucky.
Gotcha.
And all the whiskey we just had has come from Indiana. The old Seagram's Distillery,
Yep.
MGP, LDI, all that in between. I think Crock-In Tubs is what they call it now. I'm not sure. But in the past 2 to 3 years, I've been accumulating a collection of whiskey from around the country. So we've got rye that we made in a pot still in California, malt whiskey from Colorado, some bourbon and rye from Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina. So the future is going to be a little bit more fun in terms of blending and expanding
I
that.
like that. Yeah.
That's really cool.
But I brought these two with me. These are more, limited time offerings that are a little outside the scope of what we normally do. The first one is called Good Day. It's a 22-year-old blended Canadian whiskey. It's mainly a light corn whiskey. It's about 97% corn.
Okay.
And we bottled that at about 104 proof. And what that'll be is probably the best black velvet you've ever had.
Interesting.
You want to start with that one? Okay.
Yeah.
I had a Canadian whiskey the other day. I got a bottle of Obtainium. It was
Oh, sure.
160 proof.
From Gene up in...
But it didn't taste like 160 proof, though. It was unique.
Really?
I have to bring you. I got a little bit left. Oh, that smells good. I need to start my own moonshine distillery.
You need to start?
Yeah, I got it. I got it in the Amazon cart. I just hadn't bought it yet.
Moonshine.
Just
Put it in.
you know what I mean.
They put it in a barrel for a reason. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying to start.
Every time
to start
I have
with.
like actual like white dog unaged
Yes.
distillate, I'm
Yeah.
like, they
Why?
put it in the barrel for a reason.
So speaking of barrels, the Canadian whiskey is aged in used barrels.
Okay.
So it will age for 22 years without becoming overly woody, overly tannic. And there's some really cool flavors that came out of here. I don't know if you guys picked up some citrus notes,
Yeah.
kind of baking spices, graham crackers, that kind of thing. Really, really, really nice. Really surprising.
That's fantastic.
Brown
This one's not
sugar maple
not in
syrup.
Alabama yet, right? Or not going to be, or
It'll
It can
maybe.
be.
like special order kind of
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
I got you. I understand
Basically,
that.
if you're interested, inquire.
We'll figure it out. And price point on these two, roundabout.
Let's see. State store would be, what is it? Be a little over 100, maybe 110,
Okay.
115 in a state store.
Yeah.
If we, we'll see how that ends up. Obviously, we would love to have it everywhere.
It's a cool bottle too. It's different. It stands out.
Yeah, we use that for kind of the higher end stuff.
And what was the proof on that one?
104.
I wanted to go back and add, just for anybody listening, I like to throw in these tidbits. You were talking about it being aged in a used barrel. For anyone listening who doesn't understand kind of what he's referring to, bourbon is aged in a new char oak barrel. That's part of what that's a requirement to be titled bourbon. A fresh new char American oak barrels typically what's used, whereas used barrel is when people say that, they're almost always referring to a used bourbon barrel. So yeah, that's what that's
The Scottish will call them first fill. It's like a certified pre-owned.
Yeah. Same thing like with tequilas too. They use the old barrels and stuff to.
Yep. But the difference is that fresh new charred oak barrel, just deep flavor, deep color right away. If you look at the Deadwood, it's probably darker than that.
Yeah.
After 2
Yeah.
years, and this is 22 years old, and because the barrel's been used up, and you're only getting a little. but it lets the barrel age and oxidize without getting overly tannin, and it's kind of a really cool trade-off.
Yeah, Scotch and Irish whiskey, they use used barrels. Most of the world is, I always joke, you can only use the bourbon barrel once, so they're selling them off. So the whole world's aging everything and use bourbon barrels. That's why you see bourbon barrel spices and bourbon barrel aged and smoked this.
Is that why like the Canadian whiskey, Scotch is aged longer because it's a used barrel? Is that something behind it, or
It can be. Yeah, that's and often the climate.
Yeah.
So bourbon has to be made in the U.S.
Yeah.
So the climate is going to tend to often be hotter than is in Scotland or wherever else, and so that's a factor too. That heat's gonna. Have you guys seen like even just this simple difference of Kentucky bourbon and like South Alabama bourbon?
Yeah.
Like if you've seen Detling, like even that heat difference.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You can see like there'll be a 2-year Detling in the color, the intensity. It looks like the 4-year, 5-6-year-old Kentucky bourbon.
yeah,
often.
for sure.
I think when we talk about barrels, what I find is the more that I know, I realize the less I know. And you get it into other issues of what was the barrel entry proof and how that affects the barrel. Like, these are, I think, 150, 160, they put it into the barrel. In bourbon, you can't put it higher than 125. Most of our bourbon we put in at 120, which is what kind of the balance that Seagram's decided was the best balance. And you'll have other producers who will put it into the barrel at a lower proof, like 100, 105, and that'll affect the flavor. You'll get less tannins, I think, and probably more sweetness and all that. And it also will, develop quicker in a certain way. Some of the stuff, it just isn't linear. It's hard to just say, oh, you do this and then it'll be quicker.
Yeah.
Same thing with small barrels. They'll be different when you make them smaller, and all the math that goes into that, and some of it, the wood is always going to be a little bit different, so it's going to affect the evaporation and everything that goes on. So you always have to open them and taste them.
Yeah.
Darn.
I'm an accountant, so I know 22 years is a long time to wait to get a return on something.
Where's my money?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. That's also really good.
It is, yeah.
So good day in sunshine.
So I saw this one was Jamaican rum barrels.
Yeah. So another side proofing wood project is some Jamaican rum stuff. I did bring one bottle, but we do some aged stuff. And so, of course, what would happen if I put some whiskey in those old Jamaican rum barrels? And so we took this one was 21 years old, but pretty much the same as a good day. And we put it into Jamaican rum barrels. And it's only been in there probably an average about 6 weeks because the whiskey's so light, the Jamaican rum was really taking over.
Okay.
Price point on this one as well?
Same as
Same?
good day.
Okay.
Yeah. All your money.
Is it called Good Day in Sunshine because you can drink it in the morning for breakfast? That's what it tastes like.
I think so.
It tastes like
I mean, it's great.
pour it on some pancakes.
It's great on Cheerios.
I mean, if you're in Jamaica, you can drink anytime, I feel like.
Or Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Or Tuscaloosa. I gave him a heads up about Tuscaloosa. He said, "So how'd you phrase it? What's Tuscaloosa? What they got going on there? What are they known for?" I was like, "Well, college football."
A little thing called college
I
football.
think you said college football and college football.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I was like, "Are you a sports ball person?" I'm not really a sports ball person, but that's what they're known for.
Well, looks like there's some serious music here too.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really is.
Appreciate that.
I do love the name, Good Day in Sunshine. If I'm drinking that and hanging out with friends, I'm going to automatically believe that I'm going to feel happier.
I kind of
I think it would really influence me.
I think it in my
Subconsciously.
mind it's going because every morning I'll wake up, I listen to Good Day Alabama on Channel 6. So that's what like, maybe I should drink that in the morning. Maybe my day will be better.
Maybe we should be the official whiskey.
You should.
It's kind of a gateway to
You
bourbon.
might need to
I
ask your
think.
wife about that. I'm just saying.
She'd be good with it. She might need some
to
too.
get her,
We
her
got-
opinion.
You know, we have kids. We might need some. Getting to school, getting ready to go to school, and arguing about breakfast and lunchbox, and get your backpack, go brush your teeth, hurry up, gotta get
Yeah.
out the door.
You're not going to want to get that note from the teacher.
Agreed.
That is fantastic.
It is.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
So those are the whiskeys I brought today.
Are those available in Mississippi, Ashley? Or is it still the
I-
special order?
In Mississippi, so they're all like hitting. I think they hit Mississippi last week. So like they're all new arrivals.
Yeah. I'm just thinking personally for myself, I'll drive over and get a bottle of every one of them.
Well, just wait till it gets here. It won't be long. You gotta be patient.
But I don't know if it's going to be in the state store, if I have to special order it.
Well, we can make it happen. Whatever.
We'll work on it.
Figure it out.
We'll
Justin,
tell
Justin
you.
doesn't have a lot of patience.
Yeah, I have
I
no
know.
patience.
I'm like, man, it's probably going. You can probably get them next week. Like, you don't need to drive to Mississippi. Chill out.
Hey, we do sometimes.
Columbus isn't that far.
It isn't. Like a cool place to jug. It's a good place.
Yeah.
If you got them yet, the jug in Columbus.
Liquor store.
Yeah.
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 The jug and what Commodore Bottle Shop in Meridian.
I haven't been to
You need to hit them
one
up.
of them. Yeah.
They're cool people.
I haven't explored Mississippi much.
Yeah, that's right. You have the Alabama market, not Mississippi market.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I've heard these names, but I haven't been.
That one is really good.
All right, so tequila.
I give both of those 2 thumbs up
Thank you.
since we're done with that category.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, y'all wanna say anything else about the whiskey category before we move on to this?
I would give that whole category 2 thumbs up. I mean, there's not a single one in there that
Yeah.
I thoroughly didn't enjoy.
I agree with
Yeah,
the DC
and-
collection especially.
Thank you, guys.
Would keep a bottle at my house and a backup bottle.
And a bottle over here.
Yeah. And we will, I promise you.
And then Matt's opening up a new restaurant bar soon too, so it'd probably be a good one for there.
Yeah.
Here, y'all might
You have to get
do
Ashley's,
a rinse.
convince Ashley to come in there and give you some Manhattan experience.
Yeah, I do need.
Yeah.
I can't help you there. I'll come up with some weird stuff.
You'll have to come by too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
It'll be a master class.
And we just actually today released a new cocktail at my downtown location called the Feisty Chihuahua. It is a blackberry moonshine tequila sour, basically. It's good.
Feisty
Is it
Chihuahua.
good?
It's amazing.
Sounds good.
That's
stole
a
it.
fun name.
I stole it from Epcot. They had a blackberry moonshine sour at a USA Pavilion in Epcot.
I think the way you explain it is you were inspired.
Inspired.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's how we roll.
Yeah. We didn't copy.
Yeah.
We were
I didn't
inspired.
copy because I added tequila to it.
There you go.
I made it my own.
It's like my attorney has advised me to say I was inspired.
Inspired.
After
No
my
comment.
third one.
So we got Goza tequila.
Goes to tequila. So, I'm not busy enough with whiskey. But again, the theme of friends in the business, Paul Haletko from Few Spirits up in Chicago is a good friend of mine, and we've been batting around kind of doing some kind of project together. And we may or may not have been drinking too much tequila when we decided
It happens.
to see what we can do in the world of tequila, because there aren't enough tequilas in the U.S. And we stumbled across these guys who had created this brand a bunch of years ago, and they too had an expensive education in the American 3-tiered spirits industry, and they didn't quite make it over that hump, but the thing we liked, because we were looking for tequila, and our goal was to have, as simple as it sounds, tequila flavored tequila. And when I say tequila flavored, I don't mean actually flavored. It's additive free. It's 100% agave. We really liked the liquid, and we liked the name. Goza, loosely translated, means to enjoy, or at least that's what they told us, gringos. And those guys had a pretty good infrastructure and supply. And so we took over the brand and redesigned it. I won't show you the old bottle, but and we were trying to figure out how to really connect it to Mexico. 2 gringos doing tequila. We do we need more of that? And we decided to seek out Mexican artists and have them provide art for the label. So we're going to change that out every year or so.
Cool.
The current labels are from a street artist. He does a lot of murals. He actually just did a big mural for the Denver Zoo. But he's based in Tulum. He's mainly a tattoo artist. So he did these for us.
Very cool.
So these
Yeah,
are the
very
latest
cool.
labels?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
It's
It
cool. It's pretty.
definitely stands out, like amongst other tequilas.
Yeah.
Tequilas,
if
for
I'm
sure,
looking
yeah.
down a wall of tequila labels,
Yeah.
like it stands out.
And his contact, or you can go to his webpage and
Oh, it's on there?
at Instagram with that QR code.
Very
Oh, okay.
cool.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so
Very
that's also part of the idea. We want to promote these
Right, yeah.
artists and
Awesome.
and help them out as well.
And what's the price point across the line up there?
I think the Blanco is 48, and then the other two progress to I think 54 and 58 for the Repo and
Something
Anejo.
like that, yeah, in a state store. Like it,
Yeah.
not bad at all.
Yeah. So again, all additive free, small production, 100% agave.
Those come in any mixed cases or just per?
Not as of this
expression?
moment.
Yeah.
They're 6 bottle
Six.
cases. We are working on coating more mixed cases this year. I can't say when that would,
Yeah.
and for sure that it will be an option. So, but
How many tequilas do you have at
We
downtown?
have 246 tequilas downtown. Largest in the South.
What's your favorite?
It's a tough question.
I know I get asked that a lot too. I'm going to turn the tables.
What's funny is when you're talking about, two gringos, one of my favorites is Dos Primos. It's Thomas Rhett, the country artist, and his cousin made one.
Oh, yeah?
It's actually really good. I like that one, and then Dulce Vida has 100 proof, which is really good since I like higher proof stuff.
Yeah, so we've
That was
got
a really good one.
We've got the Blanco, Repo, and Anejo. We've also bottled. They should be available in the next month or so. A bunch of single barrels.
Oh, awesome. Very cool.
These single barrels we bottled at 80 proof. The next batch of single barrels we're going to do closer to 100 proof. 'cause
Oh, wow.
That's what everyone is asking
Yeah.
us for, and we're here to make people happy.
Like I said, I've tried tons of tequilas. That one's really good. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, our goal was good tequila. Again, similar, good tequila at a
Yeah.
fair price. We're not going to be the cheapest tequila out
Yeah.
there, but
I always get surprised. People ask me they tell me, man, that tequila's really strong compared to this one. I'm like, most tequilas are 80 proof. They're like, no, that one's stronger. I'm like, no, it's 80 proof. It's just shit. It's just gross.
Yeah.
or depending, it depends on the audience. Sometimes they mistake flavor for strong.
Yes.
That's true too.
And I've had plenty of tequila that is good but flavorless.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a challenge. You don't want to over distill it.
Yeah.
You don't want to over filter it.
Or too many additives and it just doesn't
Well,
taste good.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
there's a lot of this natural sweetness to
It's
these
really
that I really enjoy. Do you want to? I don't think you mentioned this, but for anybody who's interested in knowing like the production, like autoclave, steaming the piña, or roasting or whatnot, and that sort of thing.
It's mostly autoclave. There's some traditional brick ovens. We get it from a couple of different small distilleries.
Yeah.
And those places are interesting. They're family owned.
Yeah.
And they're just little production sites. They're not, a lot of them are open air and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of some of the very small producers, and it's always like, wow, that's all they're working with. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
that
yeah. Just
minimal.
It's really cool.
It's very, very minimal. And just impressive. Like, the gorgeous
Yeah. distillate
they produce. So,
Well, let's try the next one. I like the Blanco a whole lot. And we're actually, I don't know if I told you, actually, we're expanding our downtown location. We're not moving, but we're getting next door as well. So we're going to have like a
wow,
giant,
I don't remember
probably
that.
30-foot bar. So we're need some
Very
more
nice.
tequilas. keep expanding. That's what I've been driving Brian and ABC crazy because I'm trying to get every tequila I could possibly get. And of course, we have to go through, the state, which I'll go to Mississippi and they have 40 tequilas we don't have in Alabama, but I can't get them. So I have to call Brian, be like, hey, can we get this? Can we get this? Can we get that? So I was driving him and, what's her name? Catherine, crazy.
So the repo is about 3 to 6 months in used bourbon barrels.
That's fantastic. It'd be really cool if you could do mixed cases, like 2 of each.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to wait
Noted.
and see. Maybe.
So again, the idea is to have balance, to get some more flavor,
Yeah.
but still, hey, yeah, there's tequila in here.
Yeah.
The next phase of Goza, which I'm really excited about, is Paul and I are sending our own whiskey barrels down to Mexico to use
Awesome.
as
That's cool.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
for aging,
Very cool.
kind
cool.
of keep a little connection.
That's cool. I like that.
That's really good.
It is really good.
For the añejo, however, we selected barrels because we didn't, we didn't have any time to do all that, and we wound up for the first go around of the añejo. We wound up selecting a mix of bourbon and red wine barrels.
Oh, cool. I notice it has a little bit darker, come from the red wine, I guess, that little
Yeah.
red tint to it.
I was wondering. Okay, that makes sense.
What's the age time on?
About 15 to 18 months.
Okay.
And these are available through the program
Yeah.
world, right?
We have them in stock now. Yeah.
Okay. That's also very good.
It is.
Thank you. I think we've been selling more of the repo than anything else. But
That was going to be my next statement. I was going to tell Ashley, get me a case of Repo.
Okay. I'll make that happen.
They're all fantastic, but that Repo,
Yeah.
you.
that's special.
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And I'm not really a big fan of Reposados either. I'm more of a straight Blanco or a few Añejos,
Well,
but that Repo was good.
I think, and again, I'm not sure where I am in terms of my agave journey, but I know that was always my take. I enjoy Blanco
Yeah,
more than anything else.
I'm the same.
And the more I get into it, the more I realize that there's some great producers down in Mexico, like Full Cert, 360. They know what's going on. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing. They work with intent. There's a lot of good tequila that is made, again, thinking about cocktails, they know what to do. They know the recipe. 60 days it's a reposado, and a year it's an añejo, and we use these barrels. That they don't choose their barrels and age with intent. And I used to hate añejos. Because again, there was no intent.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to use the same barrel, and that one happens to be añejo now. And between the aging down there, they're just too tannic. I think the polite word is earthy. They taste like dirt. And, especially extra añejo. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?
Especially
And-
with the additive free, it's kind of, with additive, they add extra stuff to give it that sweetness, where the additive free, you can't hide nothing.
Again, that's a whole other area.
Yeah.
But even just traditionally done, that was my take. Like, I don't like añejo. And then I had some añejos that I absolutely loved. And going back to the whiskey conversation, overly simplified, but the 22-year-old whiskey in the used barrel made all the difference. So if your intent is to make an añejo or a super añejo, choose a barrel, maybe not a used bourbon barrel, or if it's a used bourbon barrel, it's been used at least once before. So
Yeah.
you can get that development in the flavor without the over aggressive flavor of the woods
sure.
and
Yep.
the tannins. So that's kind of something. Again, we're always learning, always trying to do something better.
Like I said, I think we have, just guess, I want to say 30 something Reposados downtown. And that one's probably my favorite one.
Well, thank you, man.
And
I appreciate
I'm
that.
not really a Reposado fan. I'm go towards more just a straight Blanco, but it was really good. Hence why I told Ashley, go ahead and give me a case.
And this is recorded, so we.
It is.
I
Yeah.
know. I got.
You said one or two?
I heard 5.
Hey, I hope so.
Pallets. All right.
All right. So now
But
we
the
got
Yeho
some
was it was
rum.
really good as well. I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
So have you had a Oaxacan old fashioned? Is the question.
I have.
How do you like? How do you like that?
I like it.
Yeah, that's
I do.
definitely been a gourd. Definitely how I fell in love with like a aged tequila in a cocktail.
Yeah, sure. What you think, Matt?
Very good. You know, I'm much more of a bourbon guy, but I mean, that's good.
It's
That
good.
is good.
All right.
So what we got next?
So this
The
is
funk.
the last bottle that we have.
Thank
It's-
God.
I was sad.
I'm not going to be able to walk out of here.
You got it. Your office is right there.
Look,
Yeah, look. Nothing.
Gotta let him say his line.
Professionals.
the funk.
Sorry.
The funk. So the funk was kind of a happy accident. And it started with the Jamaican rum project that I started a couple of years ago. There was no intent with the origins of this project. One of the whiskey brokers that I deal with mentioned that he had a bunch of column distilled Jamaican rum up in Canada, of all places, and it was sitting in used Canadian whiskey barrels. So, he sent me a sample, and it's rum, kind of boring. Like it didn't. It was really light because it was in used Canadian barrels. Back to that barrel conversation. Didn't have a ton of flavor, but it was rum. I was like, oh, okay. It'd be interesting. What if I brought it down to Kentucky and put it in my used rye barrels? What would happen? You don't really think that through. And so that's what I did. And then after like 8 weeks, I pulled a sample of it, and back to barrels. There were young first fill rye barrels, and the rye barrel just completely took over. And I'm kind of like, wow, this isn't rum anymore. and so I thought a little bit about it, and some of my favorite like go-to rums are things like Appleton's, which are a blend of column and pot still. So I'm like, oh, what if I got some pot still Jamaican rum, aged it also in Kentucky, and kind of blended it together and created something better than the sum of its parts? So I called my good friends at Worthy Park and said, would you sell me some rum? And they did. And I bought a bunch of pot still rum from them. Some of it aged, some of it unaged. And some of the unaged was their heavier pot still rum. And getting long story short, went through a hurricane and finally arrives in Kentucky. And I get a call from the warehouse manager in Kentucky. And he's like, Dave, we got a problem. What's the problem? I've never smelled anything so awful. And to be fair, he had no reference point for Jamaican rum. And it was a 300-gallon tote at 150 proof of heavy pot still Jamaican rum. It's like, well, send me up a sample. Let me see what's going on here. And he sends it up, and I brought it down to 100 proof, and it's this. And what I love about this is it's in this glass. It's Jamaican pot still rum. You can smell it.
It's got a strong nose.
It does.
It's very polarized.
Yes.
What's like a famous Jamaican rum to compare to, like that people would know?
The Hamdens, Worthy Park, where we get it from.
Okay. That's one episode we're gonna do soon with Ashley, is a rum episode.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
talk about different kind of styles of rum.
Rum Fire is probably our closest competitor, but they're a little bit heavier. And what this is, and what I loved about this at 100 proof is you got all that intense flavor and nose, but it's still approachable.
Yeah.
Again, not for everybody. Like it's like black licorice. You love it or you hate it. There's no in between. Although, so if you love it, it's really not meant to be enjoy it on its own.
Yeah.
Some people, there's a couple of bars in Oakland where it's a bartender shot, but that's a different story. But if you really dig it, it's really well featured in a simple rum cocktail, a tea punch, a daiquiri, even a mojito. Like you can taste the rum. What we see more usage of it is like a half ounce added to a tiki cocktail, or really cuts through the sweetness and the sugars.
Makes it a little more spirit forward.
This is definitely the style of rum that tiki bars are mixing bases with. This is what's bringing a lot of that flavor to even a simple daiquiri. You can do
what's
split base.
the nose on it? I can't place what that smell is. It's hard to, I can't describe it.
Well, it's kind of, the term that they use is hogo, but there's tropical fruit, there's overripe vegetable.
Yeah.
There's definitely some earthiness to it.
Grassy.
Grassy, yeah.
Kind of,
And this is all molasses, but people often confuse it for sugarcane.
It's almost like the mescal of rum, almost.
Something like that.
yeah, it does have similarities to rum agricole.
Like the nose isn't the greatest, but the taste is fantastic. Though.
Yeah.
And
That's what's crazy about it.
and it's also like an introduction to pot still rum, and the mezcal.
I don't need any more vices.
Yeah. Oh, there's many doors it opens. You can get to some Haitian rums, Clarin, and all kinds of things that are in that world. A small production, really, very connected to the land and things like that.
Like I said, the nose is almost off-putting, but the taste is fantastic.
Yeah, it's got a deep. It's different.
really good.
Yeah,
Like
complex.
The first
What's-
smell, I'm like, oh, it's probably going to be gross. And I was like, okay, now I actually like it.
Cool. I feel good
This
now
is cool.
because so we got all these great whiskeys, and I'm going to end with
the funk.
With the
With
funk.
the funk.
They'll kick me out.
Well, when, having previously described this style rum to customers, like I would always say, well, have you had like, Jamaican rums are known for like they're funky, like and they're like, if they've never had it, they're like,
I don't think I've ever had
Right.
it either.
I hadn't either.
and I'm like, what? And then I'm trying to describe it in a different way, the characteristics and funky, like the funk is always what you want to
that's
say.
a
So then
that's
you're
a
just
perfect
like,
name
okay,
for
wait,
it.
there's like tropical fruit, but grassy and
Yeah.
it's just funky. I don't know, it's funky.
So how'd you come up with the name?
How's it?
When you taste it,
What was just
like
said?
after
Yeah, I
you
agree.
taste it, it's like,
Yeah,
But it's
it
a
is,
great
these
freaking
folks,
name.
when you're trying to describe it to someone, and if they haven't had it, they're confused. But once they have it, it's like, oh, I agree.
Yeah.
That is the way to describe it.
And we don't get any complaints of, I bought this bottle of rum and it was funky.
That's it.
We did.
You got what you got what you bought.
Like I said, it almost
Yeah.
reminds me of mescal because there's that vegetative kind of
There
earthy
is.
smell to it.
Yeah,
That's
there are
not
some.
off-putting, but like you're like,
vegetable.
I don't know if this is going to be good. Then you taste it, you're like, it's really good.
Yeah.
And really, these type of spirits, like they shine, like in a cocktail. That's where they just
bet, yeah.
shine. Like they open up and they bring so much flavor. Whereas on its own, yes, certain people can appreciate it. We can, but in a cocktail is where that's just gonna blow minds.
Yeah.
And the price point on this ABC price would be, I think, like 34 or something like
cool.
that. Like, do you recall? I think it was something like that.
My lawyer told me not to.
What did you say?
My lawyer told me not to make any
Some
Any
Don't quote me,
assertions on
but
price.
it was like 35 to 40, which is an incredible price point for this quality. And bartenders they're like, hello, that's
Yeah.
my jam.
Yeah, yeah.
That price point for mixing, it means that it can go in a lot of cocktails. So that's really exciting. When we bring in products with such incredible quality, with a price point like that, we're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can get that in a lot of cocktails. So
I don't think I've ever had Jamaican rum before, so
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I've just recently got into rum. My buddy gave me a bottle of Foursquare.
That's great stuff, and it's also great stuff for somebody who likes bourbon.
Yeah. So he was like,
Yeah.
"You'll love this." I'm like, there's another vice. So now I got to go home later and tell my wife, now I got another vice, Jamaican rum.
Yeah, but it's so wildly different. That's why
It
I was
is, yeah,
talking
it's
about
cool.
doing
That's
a
why I like
rum
it, yeah.
episode because
It'd be fun.
there are so many different people who don't know rum at all. Will often just assume the general public
Yeah.
we're talking
Yeah,
about here
just-
will just assume sweet. They're like sweet rum. That's
sweet
like
rum
immediately
and
what
spicy
the brain
rum,
goes
and that's
to.
it. Yeah.
And so there's such a wide variety of styles of rum and flavors. So it's
Just like Dave was saying,
a lot of
Haitian
fun.
rum and all these. I'm over here thinking like,
Rum agricole. From
yeah, there
Harney.
goes my whole weekend. I'm gonna be rum.
I'll go in half on a case of this.
Okay. Yeah.
With you. I don't have a good rum at home, so I need something. I like this.
I
So
wanna-
the other fun thing, and it applies to both tequila and rum that I see, is and especially through COVID, but there's so many clubs and people really getting into their bourbon and whiskey and starting to understand more beyond like, oh, I like this, I don't like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Understanding, what we do and barrel aging and how that affects things. And, both I think a combination of interest and then and the fact like, wow, this stuff is getting expensive. What other categories can we check out?
Yeah.
And people are, I see a lot of bourbon people like drifting over to tequila and rum and saying, oh wow, I can get something of a different for a good price that I can understand and get into this.
No vodka. What's up with that? Is that a sore point?
Don't even bother with this slobbering bow wow.
Never again?
There's never again. I mean, I'm here to keep people happy. But it's challenging enough with the
Sure.
other categories.
Oh yeah. Well, what you have, I mean, you have a full plate. It's
So in other words, Tito, look out.
Yeah. Give the case of that one too, Ashley.
Okay.
I'll text you, remind you. And just to entertain me, give me a splash of this and a splash of the Reposado together.
Okay.
I want to try something. My mind's working.
Do we have helmets? I don't know.
exactly.
Probably need one. I'm really impressed with the Jamaican rum because, like I said, the first smell is so different. Like you said, polarizing. Somebody just smells it, they probably wouldn't go for it. But
It's
then
not
you
a
taste it,
bad
it's good.
smell,
It's
but
just
it's not a
different.
good smell. It's hard to describe
place
what
it.
the smell is. Yeah.
So it's definitely going to get your attention.
Yeah.
For sure.
One of the retailers in New York told me he sold like 5-6 bottles on a Saturday.
Okay.
And why he did that is one of his sales clerks accidentally knocked a bottle over in the morning, and the whole store
Smelled like
the
that.
funk, and people would walk in.
Oh.
What's that?
That's the funk.
Taste that.
I could see that working actually. I busted a bottle of chocolate bitters one time at
Ooh.
Linnell's. I sold quite a few chocolate
That's a
bitters
small.
that
That's a
day.
small little store too.
Yeah. You got that rum.
Mix
Smell.
those two. Maybe
Oh,
throw a
yeah.
little OJ in there. Just thinking ahead.
Yeah.
What are we calling that one?
I don't know.
I don't.
I like the funk.
I don't know that I've
Funky.
ever had an aged tequila mixed with a funky Jamaican
Funky
rum.
cold Medina.
It is. It's actually really good.
Y'all should try it.
All right. Well, I guess I will. Let's see.
That's what I said.
Let's
I'm
put
not
that on my
I'm not your traditionalist. So like I just mix random stuff together and it works.
What you
sometimes.
like? You like this? You like that? Mix it
It
together.
works sometimes.
Well, I mean, that's how people come up with things sometimes. You know, it's
Quirkiness
like,
to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you gotta
sometimes
play.
it works, and sometimes the regular gets a free shot.
It's true.
Exactly.
I'm at home doing it, and I was like, my wife's like, "You drank too much." I'm like, "I only had one." She's like, "Yeah, but you made 20 variations of that one." I was like, "Oh yeah, my bad."
Your glass is like a fishbowl.
I tend to do my tasting like in the morning, so I'll be at home and the wife will come in. There'll be like 10 Glencairns with.
Yep.
I'm working.
I'm working.
That's fun.
It is
Yeah.
fun.
So, what's your go-to if you go out?
If I go, there is no go-to.
Right. Do you like to experience the local whatever they have on? Like it.
So yeah, I'll try new stuff. Or there'll be, other times where I'm going to drink wine or beer because it feels less like work.
Right.
I like that mixed together.
It is actually fun. I'm sure there's some kind of cocktail out there someone's done with. Always
Rum and
wonder.
tequila.
No, I don't know.
We'll
I
put
mean,
it,
somewhere out there, and it's
Somewhere,
got
yeah.
somebody's.
Yeah.
we'll put it in a
Got
bottle.
some certain name.
Fantastic products for sure.
Yes.
I'm impressed.
We'll say 2 thumbs up for the whole freaking line because I seriously was very impressed with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
You. Thank you very much.
And I can't say I've never said that about any other
No, he hasn't.
Old Soul anything. And Old Soul's great.
Maybe beer. He said about beer. He loves beer.
I do like beer. But that, I mean, everything.
Especially, we've never had any of the products, so we're coming in virgin tasting this
Yeah.
products we've never had before, so we have no, preconceived notions about it or anything. But it was fantastic. I'm
Cool.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm just glad there were no 2 thumbs.
Well, we're excited to be distributing them. I think they
Absolutely, that's-
great quality.
It is.
Great price points.
Especially all the cocktail bars in Alabama and Tuscaloosa, like some of these, like you said, the funk mixing in with some cocktails and stuff. I'm sure
Yeah.
Kadeem at Sessions come up with some craziness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us, guys.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We should start over.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Around these
Thank you,
bottles.
Ashley.
Thank you.